Hey everyone, it's me Holly, welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new around here. Hi, my name is Holly, and I post lifestyle videos and singing and everything that I like to do. In today's video, I'm going to be giving some advice to people who have exams coming up, predominantly GCSE exams, because obviously this is the lead up right now. I don't actually know how long. You probably start them, like the week of the 16th? I may be wrong, don't use that, but that's when I started it. We're in April right now. You've got a month, but it's still next term you're going to be doing your GCSEs. You know, these are really important, and you've got to make sure you just know what you're getting into before you do it, because I feel like knowing things, maybe even if it's nothing to do with like the content or the like subjects you do, just knowing about the exam period and how to organize your life around it is so useful for actually doing the exams. I am an overthinker, okay, so knowing this stuff, and obviously you've done mocks, but not everyone would do very in-depth mocks. Knowing this stuff as an overthinker is crucial. I did my GCSEs last year. Oh my god, it was last year. I cannot believe I've been at sixth form for as long as I have. I cannot believe I did my GCSEs. Like, after you finish your exams and you have your lovely long summer, honestly, it's the best feeling ever getting them done with. If I could feel the feeling of finishing your exams again, like just that feeling, if I could bottle it up and just feel it again, I would. Exams, I've got to be honest, are very stressful and does consume a lot of your life. I had my birthday on the first week of exams. My birthday was the 18th of May, so I had an English exam on my birthday. However, I tried, before I did my exams and the lead up to exams, that is what stressed me out the most. Constantly thinking, what would it be like? I'm not going to enjoy my birthday. All these thoughts, because I'm an overthinker, I thought every single thing that would go wrong. But when I actually was doing them, and it was my birthday, and I did an exam on my birthday, it didn't really make it too bad, like I thought it would. Your expectations of what are going to happen is completely different to actually what will happen. Let's just get into the video. Ignore this star face, by the way. I need it. Okay. The first thing I want to say is, obviously we're now in April and your exams will start in May. I mean, you've got a bit of time, and you know, this Easter holiday, I know you would already have done a week of it by now, but you've still got time to do revision. And even if you've not done too much at the moment and you've just suddenly switched and realized, oh my god, I need to do so much, don't take a lot of pressure with it. Don't sit there and think, oh my god, I've done nothing, and have all this pressure on you, because it will kind of make it harder to actually revise. Get into a mindset where you feel at somewhat peaceful, motivated, and try and just do what you can. Don't overdo it. 18 hours a day, that's excessive. I don't even think that's possible. Probably is, but like, that is too much, and it's just not going to work. I say make a revision timetable, but honestly do what's best for you, because I didn't follow mine. I mean, I followed it for like 2 weeks. When it got to that day, I would be like, well, I don't feel like revising that, and I know I would have to push myself to do things I didn't want to. It kind of ruined the system. So what I found was best for me, if you're kind of like that, is to make a to-do list on the day. And for me, on days where I wasn't feeling too good, I would either just go through flashcards, answer questions on like a website, not do a whole load of content at once, just because you don't want to overstimulate and overfill your mind. You know, you've got to get it into your long-term memory, which I really hate the fact that exams are heavily like memory, that's it, memory based. There are different aspects of exams where there's like getting the exam technique, knowing the content, but ultimately you've kind of just got to have or train your memory to know everything. Memory in psychology, we learn that to get it into your long-term memory, you need to be doing maintenance rehearsal in the short-term memory. So once it's into your short-term memory, do maintenance rehearsal and then prolonged rehearsal, which will eventually get into your long-term memory. If you're trying to cram stuff in, I'm not saying that it's not, you shouldn't do it at all, because if you're the night before the exam, you know, I can't lie, the morning of the exam I was still looking at stuff. There have been things where I've read it the night before and I've remembered it in the exam. But what I'm saying is, for the majority of your revision, start it earlier. Even if you're just doing, small bits of it. But yeah, so I was talking about revision timetable. I found my Easter holidays, I feel like I did quite a bit of revision. I got into a very strict mindset at the time. I wasn't like strictly inside, I was locked away. I did do things, but I was heavily focused on exams, and I knew that I had to make time for exam revision. And everyone has different motivation, have certain expectations of themselves, and I just feel like do as much revision as you find comfortable. There are some people which don't care at all and they won't do any revision, and if they feel that's okay, then you just have to kind of allow that to happen. It's their grade at the end of the day, and if they feel like they've got it, then I can't ultimately tell you you have to revise every single day, because no, I didn't even do that. You have your own expectations and you know how much you need to revise, so someone sitting here and telling you how much you need to do isn't really going to help you. I've made a video which I'll link in the comments that has a better deep dive into it. You should watch that as well if you're wanting exam techniques. Just kind of, you'll be able to know what feels right for you, and if you go to bed one day thinking I have not done enough, try and incorporate some more things into your to-do list for the next day, just to kind of make yourself feel better. And if you don't manage to complete a revision timetable or anything like that, don't feel down about it, because not everything can be completed, and if you cannot do something, you cannot do it. There's no way to force yourself to do it, and if you do force yourself, who's to know whether that will actually work or not? So that's about like the lead up. So I found that the lead up to it was worse than the actual exam period, which is really weird, because when you're at secondary school, it's like constantly you're going to be doing your GCSEs, this is all for your GCSEs, blah 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 blah, GCSEs. It's overwhelming, to be honest, the amount of pressure they put onto you, and I get it in a way, because it's like preparing you early and probably stressing you out more than you might be in the exams. And everyone's exam period, like exam experience, is different. So in my opinion, when I did my exams, yes, I was stressed, yes, I was nervous, but I also found some peace in it, and I found some relaxation time alongside it. It wasn't constant stress. So don't think about it as I'm literally going to have no sleep for the next 2 months, because you will find time for things. I think having a study period, which if you don't know yet, maybe ask your school if they are doing it. I had a study leave. I think it started on like the 23rd of May, and that was very useful for me. It helped me a lot, because I'm someone who can work best on my own. Like April, I think I was really stressed out. My teachers were telling us we haven't even completed some of the stuff yet, and everyone was stressed. I mean, my year had a little bit extra help with the advanced information. Thank the Lord. Oh my god, I'm still so thankful. But yeah, like we really, I would say COVID didn't affect us as much as some other years, but in a way it kind of did, because we actually were the first year to actually sit our exams. But I do still feel like in a way I'm kind of lucky because of the advanced information. However, my teachers didn't finish teaching even close to the exams. Like, it was stressful. I cannot deal. Let me just talk through exams now. I'm just going to run through how exams work. I'm going to make it quite bland, because people have different experiences. You might have a seat number, which I feel like a lot of schools do. So just make sure whatever information the school has given you, you're up to date on it. If they sent you out emails saying you're going to be sitting in this seat, or you're going to be doing this exam, make sure you know the day of your exams, the time of your exams, put them on your wall, make sure you know, okay, you don't want to miss anything. No, we don't want to do that. If you have seat numbers, make sure you know your seat number, because it saves a lot of stress. I mean, I remember, yeah, not knowing a seat number was not good, because everything kind of flowed a lot better when everyone knew that stuff, and it removed some stress from the morning. Getting your bag ready with a clear pencil case with what you would need for that exam, like for a Maths 1 calculator, just making sure your bag is ready. Get a water bottle without any labels on, just so you're not going into that exam and realizing different things. Make sure everything's just set up for you to have a peaceful morning. Past you needs to help future you. You need to make sure it's done and ready. I would remove my watch in every single one of them, and there was none of them I had it on me, but every single time I'd be checking my wrist, because I was paranoid it would be on me, even though it wouldn't. You just want to cover yourself, because you don't want there to be any chance that you could be like cheating or anything, like, you know, it's not likely to happen, like, but, you know, just make sure you've checked your pockets, because even if there's like a slip of paper in there that you didn't even know was there, just make sure it's just gone. I didn't take my blazer into half of them because I was too scared that I would have something in my pocket. Make sure I did some meditation before my exam period. I think it was like a week before. There was this one meditation video, which if I can find it now, I'll link it below. But I watched this video because it was about exam stress. But the main thing that I took from that meditation video, as soon as you open that paper, if there's something you don't know, forget about it. Move on and just find something you know. There will be something you know, and find it and do it, you know? And then you can go back and you can fill other things out. But make sure you start with the things that you know. If you see something that you're sitting there about to have a panic over, just get rid of it. Remove it from your mind and turn over. You don't have a lot of time. How long were the exams? Like an hour and a half? I don't know how long some of them were. But you have quite a bit of time, but it goes past so quick with the paper that you've got. And you don't want to waste much time. And I know time's very irritating sometimes because you don't really have a lot of it. And, you know, that could be a main factor in your stress. But finding what you need to find and what you can do is very important to then give you the confidence to do the other questions. But answering one question could cue a memory from a piece of revision you did at the same time period. So yeah, that's what I took out of it to actually, or if you don't know it, just turn the paper, take a deep breath and just go through it again. And make sure you answer everything. Like, I know that you don't want to be cringe or write anything wrong, but at the end of the day, when I was sitting in them exams, I was absolutely not going to leave anything blank. I was writing every single thing, like, even if it was stupid. Like, some of the answers I put in science, like, they were dumb, but the question wasn't about electrons, but I was just going to put it in there anyway. If I thought that it could work, I'd put it in there. Because it's better to try than and maybe get something right, to not try and never know, you know what I mean? Like, because some things you may feel like it might be stupid, but it could be right. And imagine it was. Like, you've just won yourself an extra mark just because you tried something. Or like the kind of short exam, like short question exam papers like maths and science. It's short paced. You've got a couple of questions, and, you know, if you don't know one, it's normally about like 1 to... How many was science? I don't know how much the biggest one was, like maybe 6. Oh, there might have been really long ones. I can't remember. I have no idea. You know, you can get through, there's quite a few of them, but you can get through them, and typically there's different topics in there, so you might find something you know. With the long paper questions like history, English, like the essay-based subjects, those ones are probably a lot more stressful. You know, you've got to know your exam techniques, you know, your paragraphs, how you're going to lay them out. This, for English language, I think it was language, where you have to write a story. The one where you have to write a story, just write one beforehand. Let me explain this whole thing. What I did was, my teacher kind of mentioned it, and then my friend Amy told me that she had done it. And what I did was, before the exam, before I even knew what the question was about, like, I didn't, like, what you need to think is that create a story which could just be applied to anything, because all you need to do is relate it in some way. So I created this story, which, it was a short story, but I went quite in depth with the language techniques. My first paragraphs were full of techniques that I could memorize, and I tried to memorize, just so that I got them out of the way. And then the ending of the story, it was a little bit different. It was a bit more vague in my mind. I couldn't really remember it too well, but at least I've got quite a few exam techniques. And I think I could have any ending I wanted. That's what I left quite open. So the whole thing was kind of like a simulation, and there's this one point where I stopped it and it could have any ending. So obviously I went into the exam ready to write that piece of short story, and I saw what the thing was about, and it was about a life-saving rescue, which was quite hard to do, but I could make it fit. So I wrote my story out, and then I could change the ending to be a life-saving rescue. Okay, I'm going to talk about an exam not going well, because that is something that I think no one wants. Absolutely no one wants that. And it was something I was very scared about, because obviously, as someone who did revise quite a bit, I didn't want anything to go wrong, because I've tried my best, you know what I mean? And I know that's with a lot of people. So, with an exam not going well, My story is when I did my history, and I feel like it's the only one. I mean, there was other ones that I didn't enjoy and I didn't like, but I was more on like kind of I didn't like it. Like I still answered it, but I didn't like it. And this history one, I just genuinely, oh my god, I cried. In history, I averaged around like either a 7 to a 9 when I did my mocks and stuff like that. And I was pretty okay with getting a 7, and if I got an 8, that's great. And I think overall I got 8, which, go me. But I did the Anglo-Saxon paper, which in everything I revised a lot. Okay, I've got to be honest, I did revise a lot for everything. There was this one thing that came up on the paper which I had no clue. Like, I had no idea. When I tell you I had no idea, every thought, and it was like one of the first questions, I was sitting in that exam, opened the paper, honestly, my mind could have just left the building. Everything went. I sat there, I was trying not to cry. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to fail history now. Obviously, I wouldn't, but that's what you think in those experiences. So I was reading it, and it was about the causes of maybe Tostig thing. I don't know. I had looked at that topic, but not the causes, because I forgot to. And it's a human thing to forget, but in this time, I was not okay with this. I was like, Holly, why do you forget things? And I left, I looked at it, and I sat there for literally 5 minutes, looking at it, writing, like, my hand shaking. I was like, ah! And I was like, okay, because history, they're long questions, so I was like, oh my god, I cannot leave this blank, because if I do, I failed. So I turned it over, I was like, oh my god, no. It's blank, but I'm turning over. I complete the other questions under high stress. I was very stressed. That's why they weren't, like, I think I messed something up because I was stressed. I messed up my, you know when you do strengths and weaknesses, I messed up that because I was, like, panicking, and then I had to go back, change it, cross things out. I was wasting time. I was okay with the other questions, but I was stressed, I was messing them up, basically. So I looked at the paper, and I sat for a second, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to try the first question and write anything. Like, you know, Anglo-Saxons, I was thinking, I literally just had to go off logic. I had to turn that paper and think, what would an Anglo-Saxon do? And I just wrote things that I think the Anglo-Saxons would have done. And I looked at it at the end, and I checked all my questions, and I looked at it at the end, and I thought, I mean, it's not good, but, like, it's not bad. Left, my history teacher asked how it was. I cried, not in front of him, but I was alone, and he asked me a question. I was just sitting there like, and he was like, oh no. And then finally my friends came out and talked to him instead of me. Everyone's saying it went okay, and I was like, But yeah, so when an exam doesn't go well, or a question you literally have no idea, just make something up. I mean, you might as well try. I mean, leave it first, in case you get your memory triggered, but just write absolutely anything. Even if it's something completely stupid, just try, because if I didn't try that, and I just left it blank, just purely because I couldn't think of anything that I thought was related, I probably wouldn't have got as many marks, and I probably may have ended up with maybe a 7, which wasn't bad, but, like, it could have been what changed my grade, if you get what I mean. It could have been. I don't know, but it could have been. And I mean, I felt terrible after exam for a while. I cried about it. I didn't like it, but when you get back into another exam the next day and you do like a whole other week of exams, you kind of just forget about it, and you're in this zone where it's like, when one's done, just you got to forget and just move on, because you have no time to dwell on the past. You literally just have to keep going because you're a little robot, and you have to crank out how much revision and go into the exams and do the exams and then come home and forget about them and do another exam. Like, it is constant. If you don't do well in one exam, don't think that, you know, don't let it ruin other things, because, you know, even if that subject you do terrible in, you still want to be able to do your best in the other exam, so don't let it affect it that much. My main stressor was the results day, and I'm going to talk you through that too. I let that ruin my days. It's like, I literally could not stop thinking. I physically, when I got my exam, you know when people just want to know and they hold their exam things and they just open it, there's a video of me, I could not open my exam paper. My results paper, sorry. I was stood outside, my mum filming me for YouTube, and I was just like, I can't. I start bawling my eyes out before I know, because I physically don't want to know. Like, Oh my god, it was the worst thing I've had to do is open that paper, and it was all okay. Like literally everything on it, I was happy with. I got a 7 in science, for God's sake. Like basically, I have a hatred towards science, but I did it. Oh my goodness, and I couldn't open it, even though it was fine. I physically couldn't. And my advice for results day is go with someone that you know you're friends with, or I went with my mum. I think most people went with their parents, I think. But just go with, and take yourself away if you don't want to do it in front of people. I know people open it in front of their friends. I could not have done that. I could not even open it in front of my mum. Like, I was crying. Make sure you are up to date. I think in the time period, you just need to be organized, basically. You just need to make sure you know what day it is. You've got your calendar ready with all the exams you've got, and you cross them off when you're done, or you rip it off if you've got like a, I don't know, but just make sure you're on top of it and you know what you're doing, because that's the most important thing, is being on top of when you've got exams, where you're going, and what you're doing with it. Even if something doesn't go well, just try. That's literally all you can do in that situation. And the one thing I would recommend is to just, even if it's stupid, do it. Because it's only going to happen once, and you're only going to get a chance to do that paper once. So, if you leave it blank, then you're never gonna know. You're never gonna be able to do it again. So you might as well just do it on there. You don't know who's gonna mark it. Even if you think you're being stupid, just put it on there. The examiner probably goes through so many papers they don't even realise that you've put something stupid on there. And they know that you're a student who's just tried their best. So that's all that matters, really. Anyway, my throat is killing me. I always try and film a video when I am ill. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, please do consider subscribing. Check out the videos I linked in the description box, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!